back with us once again to break down the critical moments, or at least where maybe the first signs of reckless behavior, if that's the right term, by the reigning world champion began. Alex, I'm going to let you take the wheel here, starting with move 19, and tell us why the move played by Carlsen is not only probably a bad sign of things to come in this game, but really could have been punished much more harshly than it was.
Well, the move knight b5 is extremely provocative. On the last move, Karjakin put his knight on g4 in a close proximity to the white king. Well, the logical reaction would be to kick that knight out by playing h3. Why leave that piece so close to your king? Instead, Magnus decentralizes his knight. And here, well, I don't really know. I think it's still Karjakin's match strategy. I'm sure he saw queen g5. I mean, if you look at queen g5, it's an aggressive move. And if white goes knight d6, then he loses on the spot. All right. Knight h4 wins.
Yep.
Now we have knight. Yeah, now knight takes bishop on b7. There's nothing else, and knight f3 check. You gotta take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then black should take on d1. Now this is an important in between move, but I don't believe that Karjakin would have missed that. It's all so straightforward. Now what do? You take back with the rook, I assume.
Have to, right?
Yeah, no, well, knight e5 check, and there you go.
Just like
king
that,
goes
the knight
to the
takes
corner,
on
and yep, and then it's on the queen and on the mate. Now white has to play bishop g2 and play a hopeless position. No, well, he actually has 3 minor pieces, but they're all disorganized. He's gonna lose this. Go queen g6, then queen c2. You're gonna win it with. It's no contest.
So then, if Karjakin doesn't go for this idea, I guess we don't really need to worry too much about why he didn't play it, since the final result he got what he could have possibly hoped for. But what is your thought then on the match strategy? Why wouldn't Karjakin go for such a very straightforward move that, as you said, seems to punish this kind of irresponsible knight maneuver?
Well, I don't know. It's probably part of his match strategy up to this point. He was just wanted to be extra super duper solid and frustrate Magnus, which actually exactly what we saw in this game.
Right.
And he employing solid moves like bishop c6. Well, technically speaking, after queen g5, if white recovers his senses and plays knight back to d4, there's still nothing really dramatic here. I mean, it's still okay, it's still equal. But obviously it proves that knight b5 was the wrong move. But I don't really know. Bishop c6, I can only understand this as Karjakin's desire to be extra solid.
Okay, well, let's continue with that. He was extra solid.
So they played some reasonable moves. And we move into move 24, when Magnus made an unusual recapture with the pawn.
Yeah, explain that. I mean, you're looking at a move that basically just cripples the queen side. I think any Russian schoolboy would frown at this move. Any good Russian school teacher, chess teacher, would say, what's the point of this? Positionally, you gain nothing and you isolate both queenside pawns.
That's true. When I was playing moves like this, I was threatened with expulsion, not only from the chess club, also from the Komsomol, which is much worse.
Right, as Roman Ginjihashvili would say, such moves land you with time in a Siberian prison, and that may have been what Magnus deserved after this. And any desire to really mix it up. We understand the need to want to win as white, everybody. So we're not criticizing Magnus's his heart or his desire, but there's a difference between being aggressive and then being just plain dumb or overly ambitious. And knight to b5 could have been punished more harshly. Then he breaks this very, very positional Russian schoolboy move. And take us to what's the next critical moment for you, Yermo, where you feel that Magnus had another chance to maybe slow down and recover?
Well, when he played f4, this is also a forcing move. As a matter of fact, b takes c4 is not such a bad move. What white gained from this is the possibility of taking back on d4 with the pawn, which would repair the pawn structure and give him these pawns side by side, the hanging pawns. So by virtue of that, he won the D file. Maybe it's worth breaking up the pawns, if you keep the D file. But it still doesn't mean that white should continue in such reckless fashion. And I really dislike the move f4 because, look, h6. I mean, play h3. Play h3, secure that g4 square, have that flight square for the king. Black is not really doing anything in particular. Well, its position is approximately equal. I don't know about f4. In general, I would say this, that in the previous game, which, of course, you had covered yesterday, Magnus kind of went for a worse side of a draw, unnecessary. It's almost like, he wanted to make a draw. And now today, he just didn't want to accept a draw when it's was in the position on the board.
Right.
So this kind of emotional roller coaster is a bad thing, to happen during any chess tournament, let alone, world championship match.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, everything you're saying, I think that's what people are pulling, or a lot of the conclusions that are being drawn today. On the one hand, sort of justifying passive moves, odd moves as black yesterday, just because he wanted to draw, when really the opportunity was such that he maybe could have been better as black. There was certainly no reason to just give up the pawn. And then today, when the opportunity is, whether you like it or not, probably you need to let the game peter out. He's butting his head against the brick wall that is Sergey Karjakin, and guess what? He ended up pushing too hard and losing. And so as we jump ahead here, I know we could probably break down a lot more of these moves in more detail. I wanted to get to the next, really kind of the final critical moment where we just see Carlsen sort of go on tilt and all in this strategy. Where do you feel that was?
Actually. Two moments, Danny. First of all, the move c5 that he played. Now, so one more move. Queen d4, king g7. Now, c5 is a total gamble. And, it's not like, white sacrificed the pawn, but he has decent compensation. Let me play one move, rook d7.
Okay.
Rook to d7. My rook is way more active than black's rook. Now, you can play your queen c5, queen b2, any move you want. Fine, trade the queens. I'm just moving the rook out. Nah, I don't need to take, right? I could just move the rook out.
Just move the rook to
a7
square right away.
And now the a pawn it's a passer, but it's not going anywhere. Look at white's pieces. They're quite good. The knight's coming to e5, pressure on f7. Black cannot get his rook into play. White is not worse here. Maybe he's not better, but I mean, he has a okay position. c5 is a total gamble on Magnus's part.
Yeah, so I guess the term tilt was appropriate, because here he is gambling. So c5, and then what was your last moment that you really feel was just the sign?
No, we mentioned the blunder here, right? If Karjakin plays queen a4, he totally consolidates with extra pawn. Now, you take on b6, move the knight back to d7, now, and doesn't matter. Now, you're safe and just push the pawn forward. You're almost home free. I mean, it's probably lost.
I think it has to be lost, and I think people in the Magnus camp were thrilled when they saw the move queen to d3 play. Some final chances being offered up by the Russian. Magnus played knight takes e6, everybody, which sort of, that's the key to the tactic, is that this knight on c5 has duties to guard the queen on d3. That forces f takes e6 and gave Magnus these chances. But as he said, we're going to get to one final moment where probably Magnus could have calmed down, and I feel like that moment was here when he just didn't take the perpetual with queen g6 check.
That really, you said, you used the word shocking, positively shocking.
Right.
A line from a James Bond movie. You just don't do this. Look at this bishop on g2. What are you doing? What playing for a win here? Black has a pawn on a4 and the queen and knight combo. You don't do this. You gotta take that perpetual check.
Absolutely.
This is really, I mean, come on.
All right, well then let's summarize at that point then. Now we're at a situation where we've reviewed it. Hopefully the fans have learned something from our analysis here, but what do we learn about these two players going forward, Yermo? What we have is only 4 games left. Both players will get the same amount of colors twice, so we no longer need to worry about that, but the world champion is down a full point. How do you see the rest of this match playing out, and do you expect us to have a new world champion in about a week's time?
No, I wouldn't go that far. No, there's still a lot of chess to be played. It's 4 games. History of World Championship matches knows, Kasparov's win in the last game in Sevilla. Kramnik's win at the last game, wins on demand in Brissago against Peter Leko. I mean, Magnus can do this, obviously. What he needs to do now is just to calm down. Maybe in some ways, losing the game and breaking that drawing streak, could help him out. I remember once my friend Leonid Yurtayev, a grandmaster from Kyrgyzstan, he said once, in reply to someone complaining about making too many draws, he said, "Don't worry about it. You'll lose your next game, and everything's gonna be all right."
It's a great line and a great.
Magnus, of course, he needs to stay in bed, till dinner, play video games, don't look at any chess. He's gonna be fine. Come on, right. This match is. I mean, okay, now I give Karjakin, how much? 55, right? But Magnus has his 45% chance. Seriously.
Well, there you have it. Great comments, great anecdotes from Uncle Yermo. And on that note, we're going to let you go. And we appreciate the commentary, and we'll find out what happens as this match plays out, and whether or not Magnus does play some video games, have a good dinner, and calm down, as you say.